The worst famine in the history of China, the Great Chinese Famine, happened between 1959 and 1961. It's estimated that between 15 and 45 million people died from starvation during this period. That's more than the total number of deaths in the entire Second World War. So how did this happen? Well, it all started when Mao Zedong, the leader of China at the time, decided to transform his country from an agricultural society into an industrial powerhouse. He launched a series of programs with the goal of rapidly modernizing the Chinese economy. But one of these programs, the Great Leap Forward, completely backfired. Mao wanted to increase food production so that China could feed its growing population and have enough to spare to feed its army. He believed that if he organized the farmers into communes and gave them new technology like tractors and chemical fertilizers, they would be able to produce much more food. But this caused widespread crop failures. And when the government realized that there wasn't going to be enough food for everyone, they decided to keep the grain in the cities and only give the rural farmers enough to survive. This caused millions of peasants to starve. When people started to die of starvation, the Chinese government tried to cover it up. They didn't want the world to know what was happening in their country. They even went as far as to make propaganda films about how great life was in China, while people were literally starving to death. To try and find out what really happened, I've been digging through old archives, and here's what I found. The famine began in 1959 when people started to run out of food. By 1960, the situation had become so dire that families were resorting to eating tree bark and mud to survive. And by 1961, things had gotten so bad that there were reports of cannibalism. There was even a special word for this, which literally translates to eat people. Cannibalism was so widespread that the government had to pass laws against it. But despite all of this, the government still hasn't admitted what really happened during the Great Leap Forward. They haven't released all of the documents about it, and they've done a really poor job of acknowledging the human cost of this tragedy. If you want to learn more about the Great Leap Forward and the Great Chinese Famine, I'll put some resources in the description below.